Yeah.
Why is it? No, it's not working. I'm not hearing it. On January 7th, 2013, adequate notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meeting Act has been furnished by inclusion thereof an annual schedule of meetings for 2013, which has been posted on the bulletin board of Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk, faxed to the Our Town, the Record, the Community News, and the County Seat newspapers, and distributed to all persons, if any, requesting copies of same pursuant to said act. In case of an emergency or fire alarm, you must evacuate the building by using any of the exit doors in the room. They're immediately to my right, and the double doors at the rear of the room. Occupants must exit the building by using the staircase and not the elevator. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio and may be rebroadcast.
Everyone, please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Mayor Padavano.
Here.
Council members Maroney,
Here.
Eisenberg,
Here.
Aguirre's absent. Ballerini,
Here.
Fleischman,
He'll be here.
Fabre,
Here.
Borough Attorney Ronald Dario,
Here.
Borough Clerk Jean Pellegrini is here, Borough Administrator Roberta Stern,
Here.
Youth Counterpart Siobhan Crompton,
Here.
Kelly O'Donnell,
Here.
Max Eisenberg,
Here.
Alyssa Gargagliano.
Here.
Okay, well, one of the first items on our agenda is a proclamation or presentation for a certificate of recognition. At this time, I would entertain a motion to, I guess, well, that's the first thing on our agenda. We don't have to go out of order. Okay. If I can ask all the members of the Dolphins to come forward to the front. This year, the Maywood Dolphins consisted of 153 swimmers this year, which is probably an all-time high. The ages range from 5 to 17.
It's a better picture.
You guys want to back up here? Why don't you come back here? All the way up. A little more perspective. The Dolphins have been league and dual league champions for the past 5 years. At the close of the 2013 season, it marked their 29th consecutive win. Deserves a round of applause. The Dolphins have won more relay events than any other swimming team in the league. They set and hold 2 records right now. One is for the 10 and under girls medley relay. The other, which I believe was just set this year, was for the 15 to 17-year-old girls medley relay. This team is the top team in the league history. And I congratulate you on behalf of the borough. I have a certificate, and I certainly thank the parents organization. I see a lot of parents in the audience who obviously make this team work and are able to transport everybody and do all the things that need to be done for the team to exist. So, on behalf of the Borough of Maywood, I issue you a certificate of recognition to the 2013 Maywood Dolphins swim team in recognition of and congratulations on your undefeated season and for duly representing your hometown, the Borough of Maywood. Congratulations.
The council members.
Let's invite all the council members to come on down. Yes. second year in a row. Congratulations.
Patty.
Guys, move in a little bit. Move in just a little bit so she gets everybody in the picture.
Okay. Congratulations. We'll see you next year.
That's going to be very hard. That's like...
Mayor, if I may, just very quickly before you start, none of the coaches or the team could be here tonight because they're all on the college, but I know they would want to say thank you to the mayor and council for this presentation. It's always great when the town fathers recognize what the young people in the community do. Our town fathers and our town youngers. Appropriate night to do this with the youth counterparts, thank you, good word for it, to be here as well. We celebrate what these kids do, what these kids do on a daily basis. Again, on behalf of the coaches, I want to say thank you all very much.
All right. Before we get on to our borough engineer, also would like to take this opportunity to wish a very happy birthday to our borough clerk today. All right, Mr. Planier, can you top off of those things?
That's wrong.
I'll try.
Honorable Mayor and Council, we issued an engineer's report that's 3 pages, dated the 3rd for tonight's meeting. The first was the Economic Recovery Project. I have an update this afternoon. We were speaking with both the Borough's conflict attorney and also Paramus' conflict attorney. A draft agreement with markups from Paramus was forwarded. There are some questions that both the borough's attorney needs to address and our office needs to address. We supplied that information to Paramus' attorney so that that agreement can be finalized shortly. So it appears that it's moving forward as we speak. On the second page, the Maywood Avenue paving project. Based on correspondence with Bergen County, it appears, even though that the town has been proactive with respect to the ADA ramps, that paving of Maywood Avenue won't occur till 2015 until the county can rectify the existing drainage issues that are occurring at Magnolia and Central Avenue. Once those issues are rectified, then they will conduct the paving operations on Maywood Avenue. In addition, on Columbus Day, this upcoming Monday, the work with respect to the Maywood Public Library and Maywood Avenue School will be finalized with respect to the ramp in that location. Item 3 relates to the 2013 road program, which includes East Hunter Avenue, which is a DOT-funded project, Spring Valley Road, and West Fairmont Avenue, the parking lot located at that intersection with Palmer. There was a bid opening that occurred on the 3rd at Borough Hall. Our office the following day issued a recommendation letter based on the budgetary requirements and also the bids that were supplied. We recommended that all 3 alternatives be awarded, which included East Hunter Avenue from Maywood to Van Cleve, the Spring Valley Road section in between the park and West Pleasant Avenue, and then also the West Fairmont Avenue parking lot, which was alternative bid B. The fourth item on the list relates to the DOT grant program for 2014. Our office submitted on behalf of the governing body two separate grant packages. One was for the streetscape on Maywood Avenue, in between Central and East Hunter. The second priority project was roadway restoration of Oak Avenue and Parkway. Those were submitted on September 6th and September 17th respectively, which followed the deadline of September 20th set by the state. The final item relates to a community development block grant that the borough had received approximately $28,000 for the swim club restrooms. Our office attended a meeting with the borough administrator and also an architect to inspect the restroom location. Subsequent to the meeting, our office issued a proposal from the architect to address construction management and design services for that restroom and the slabs outside the restroom. That would conclude our report. I'd be glad to address any questions or comments that the governing body had.
Anybody have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. I know the CFO is here, but I know Mr. Fleischman wants to be part of this, so can you spare another 5 minutes? Sure. We can go to correspondence and report of the borough clerk.
We discussed the change in the voting place at Memorial School at the last meeting. Maywood Avenue School remains the same in the small gym. The Memorial School is moving from the small to the large gym. That's the only change. And there'll be ample signage. And it'll take effect next week at the special election and from there on. There was some notes here. I think that's all I have right now.
Borough Administrator?
Mayor, the only thing I have, we just received another payment from FEMA on the money that's outstanding as a result of Sandy, and we're only missing a small portion of the overall money. So we've received the sidewalk money, the emergency protective, and a portion of the debris removal. So the balance of the debris removal is the one outstanding piece. So far, we've gotten back $143,000, and we have about 90-something thousand that we'll still be getting. Hopefully, the state has hired additional people to work on this program. They only had one person, believe it or not, handling all of Bergen County, and they started 7 new people who are in training for the next couple of weeks. So hopefully, some more of this will start happening sooner. And secondly, I just want to thank everybody who participated in the Fall Festival. It was a great day despite the weather, and I think a good time was had by all. And I really appreciate the support that we got from the sponsors who were able to underwrite most of the activities. And that's it, Mayor.
Borough Attorney?
I do not have a report this evening, Mr. Mayor.
Anything closed?
I do not.
Okay. Committee reports. Councilman Maroney.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, my partnership from
Recreation will be hosting the movie Argo at the library this Sunday, October 13th at 2 p.m. The townwide garage sale scheduled for October 19th has 41 participants as of today. You can still sign up, and the fee is $5. October 19th is a shred event sponsored by the Community Bank from 9 to 12 p.m. Maywood Recycling is hosting its first special occasion dress repurpose day on October 21st from 9 to 4 at the Recreation Center. And lastly, the Recreation Department is having a trip to Caesars in Atlantic City on October 29th. The fee is $20, and as of now, there are 33 seats sold. A total of 43 will be allowed on the bus, so you can still sign up. And that's it.
Thank you. Councilman Eisenberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Borough manager and I had the opportunity to meet with the first of several telephone vendors to look at changes in both the telephone service that we have here at Borough Hall and possibly upgrades or replacements to the telephones themselves. It was a good, productive meeting. We discussed a whole host of options, and we're going to meet with two more, I believe it is.
Three.
Three more, over the next few weeks and determine which of the four has the best proposal to recommend to the council. There's a house on Esplanade that has been a chronic issue for a number of years. On Saturday morning, I just happened to be driving by, and the police were there. Apparently, the neighbor called the police because there's a stop work order. They pulled a permit for awnings, or I think they were described as porticos, and they then proceeded to turn them into enclosed porches. The stop work order was issued some time ago, and while I don't want to confirm that this is the case, there is a belief that some work may have been ongoing since that stop work order. And the neighbor was advised to keep an eye on it and to report it immediately if something occurred. As I was going by, the police were there. There was a handyman carrying boards. I stopped. I spoke with the owner and his son. The owner was visibly upset. His son and I stepped to the side. I calmed him down. I asked him to come into Borough Hall, and we sat with the building inspector for about a half an hour yesterday. I want to think some progress was made. I spoke with the son afterwards. He said that he had been represented in the past by a local attorney, and both the building inspector and I strongly recommended that he contact that attorney and make an application before the board. I explained to him that he would get a fair hearing and that all of his concerns would be considered, but that it's in his best interest to be represented by counsel.
Councilman, if I can just interrupt you 1 second, with your permission, Mr. Mayor. I know you haven't mentioned any names, but if we're talking about the same house that I think you're talking about, I'll just caution that there's an awful lot of litigation that comes out of that gentleman's properties that he owns. My firm is involved in a number of municipalities where there's litigation with that individual, and it's a distinct possibility it's going to happen here again. So I'll just throw it out at you. I know you haven't mentioned it, and I'm taking a guess. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, yes. And I just hope that we can amicably work it out without any litigation and a suitable solution to both sides come back. Just another note, I'm not getting into whose it was, but there were signs out 31 days prior to the election, and we had a gentleman's agreement that there would be signs only 30 days before. I would just ask both parties next year not to distribute any signs before 30 days. Probably, my guess is that the homeowners were unaware and they did it. They were given the signs early and they probably just jumped the gun and put them out. But if they didn't have the signs in their possession next year, that would nip it in the bud. So I would just suggest that both sides adhere to that. There was also a large sign on Maywood Avenue. I see that it was taken down within 24 hours. It exceeded the 6 square foot size, and I was glad to see that the homeowner was notified and it was taken down. That's it. Thank you, Mr. Rankin.
Councilman Bellerin. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As I did not prepare a formal report, I'll have to read my own scribble to you and the rest of the council. Just a couple of quick updates on 2 projects that the chief is overseeing. One is the electronic sign. It's something that the chief and his team has been working on for more than a year now. The last real issue for him to resolve, and I wanted to suggest to the council that we let the borough administrator work with the chief on location. There's really only 2 feasible sites here on the corner of Park and Maywood, as well as the corner of Maywood and Passaic. And the chief's preference is to put it over there on Maywood and Passaic. There's power there. It's good visibility for folks traveling in all directions through the town. If anybody from the council has a different opinion, I would advise you to share with the BA, because that's kind of where I'm pointing the chief right now for that final piece of the puzzle. Another project that Lieutenant Corn had been working on was security cameras for Pleasant Avenue. They have two qualified companies bidding for that project. Right now, it looks like we're going to move forward with a pilot for the corner of Oak and Pleasant, and if that goes well, then we'll look at expanding the program to other areas of town. The chief asked me to remind everybody tonight that the drug take-back program will be October 26th here at the Police Department at 15 Park Avenue. I'll remind everybody again at the regular meeting at the end of the month, and I do have one item for closing, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Mr. Fleischman?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry for being late. I just want to introduce my counterpart, Mr. Max Eisenberg, sophomore at Hackensack High School, also a football player. We weren't sure we were going to have Max due to his rigorous studies and football practices, the relentless coach they have over there. But Max will be doing our report this evening.
The Shade Tree Committee meeting was held on September 27th. The main topic of discussion was the tree planting for this year, specifically type of tree and where they would be planted. 70 trees have been ordered and will be scheduled for installation when they arrive. The Shade Tree Committee has done their homework and selected 6 different varieties of trees that are recommended for street tree use. Several trees may also be planted in Memorial Park to replace the trees lost in the last 2 storms. DPW, our equipment specialist in between daily repairs and fleet maintenance, has been working on all snow equipment, which should be ready by the end of the month. He also started working on the salt spreader being sent out for repairs, which will help reduce the amount of work needed to be done, therefore saving the borough money in the process. Question for the administrator. Any progress on securing another vendor to repair bay doors down at the garage? Door number 8 and 9 need to be fixed, as well as the number 2 bay door, which has been repaired several times by the current vendor, yet still keeps breaking. Thank you.
Would you like me to answer, Mr. Eisenberg?
He's asked you so many times.
I know. Yes, actually, we have a new vendor. There is a great deal of difference between the proposals that we've gotten. I do believe we'll be going with the new vendor, and finally, fixing the doors the appropriate way. It's a little bit more costly, but we've spent a lot of money in the past fixing the doors over and over again because our current vendor apparently isn't quite sure how to do it. What he does apparently is temporary, and then they break quite, quickly afterwards. So the prices are quite significant. I mean, it's not a $1,000 job. It's probably closer to, I don't want to use round numbers, but a lot more. And I will let you know by the next meeting. We probably will be going ahead in the meantime anyhow. I hope that answers your question.
All right, anything else, Mr. Fleischman/Eisenberg?
That's all of this time.
Okay. Council President Fabregi.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to allow my counterpart, Siobhan Crompton, to do my report, or at least the majority of it.
Yesterday was Fire Prevention Day at the Maywood schools. Members from all fire companies, fire police, and the Fire Prevention Bureau volunteered their time to teach students of our borough about fire safety. Children got a chance to try on some firefighter personal protective equipment, as well as teachers. Thank you to the ex-chief Malone at the time at the city of Hackensack for loaning us their portable smokehouse for Sunday's Fall Fest. 5K. Thank you to the fire police, EMS, and the CERT team for helping out with Maywood Hawks' second annual 5K. It was a great event run by Jen Mercedes.
And again, that's any stuttering or stumbling is absolutely a product of my handwriting. This one was worse than last time. I just want to add about the Fire Prevention Day, some great things. What we did was we went to some of the kindergarten classes, and it's very important to teach these kids that in an emergency, if there is a fire in the house, God forbid, smoke condition, that they're going to see firefighters in some scary looking equipment. And a lot of these kids are going to be hiding under beds, closets, what have you. So what the fire department did was they crawled around in the room and we talked to them in full personal protective equipment, and kind of got them a little used to it, and they got to wear some of the equipment, some of the helmets. They took pictures in front of the trucks. They went into the trucks out, holding hose. It was a real nice event. This was my first one there, and I had a great time. Everybody who volunteered their time took their day off, sick days, personal days, whatever. They really did a lot of good for these guys, I think. Again, just to add to what Ms. Crompton said, Gene Mercedes did such a good job on this 5K. Every year, he's done it for 2 years now. He's got more people each time. And this kid is a wonderful kid. He came before us a couple years ago asking to do this, and at that point, you don't realize what drive this kid has, and he's just made this into an event. His website is unbelievable, and yeah, I just wanted to congratulate him. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Briefly, just to pick up on what the administrator said, I want to thank everybody for the participation in the Fall Fest. Second Fall Fest that we did, it was, despite the moist weather, it was a very good event. Some new items that were there. The New Jersey Hall of Fame, I know, was a big hit. I think some of the teachers had students get extra credit for writing reports on after they went through the Hall of Fame, so that was a great add-on, and so was the petting zoo and the ponies and all of that stuff. And none of it would have been possible without the support from our local businesses, especially the outlets at Bergen Town Center and Freedom Bank, who were the major sponsors, but also to Stepin Company, Negley Engineering, Muscarelli, Vicky Healy Properties, Pancake House, Mario's Pizza, Uncle Paulie's Chicken, Dr. Leitzner, and everyone else who financially contributed that made it possible for the borough to do that with no cost for all the rides and pumpkins and everything for the Maywood children. I think it was a great event, and hopefully next year the weather will be a little drier, but we'll see how it goes again next year. Very special thanks to the borough administrator for all the hard work that she and Jerry Gallicano from her office did, and certainly to Chuck Perotti, who was very instrumental in getting some of the new items that we had this year, including the Hall of Fame. So thank you to everybody involved, and we'll look forward to a better one even next year. I don't know whether you mentioned it, but the townwide garage sale is, I guess,
The 19th.
19th?
Yes, she did. Alyssa mentioned it.
Sorry. It's going to be posted on the website with the map and all that stuff, so I know Ms. Healy is compiling a list of anybody that's participating in that, so just a reminder for that. The house preservation, the house on the corner of Central Avenue and Maywood Avenue, we had a meeting with some people who are interested in volunteering to assist with that, to ascertain, private funding to purchase it. Again, it's not going to be publicly funded through the borough, but people are looking at private funding to secure that house. They'll be meeting again at the end of the month. Mr. Mahoney was there. We had a meeting with the actual homeowners were there, and that seemed to be very productive, and we'll see where that goes. A couple of items that I'll have for, I guess, next time on the agenda will be a River Edge needs a mutual aid agreement with us for the fire department. Hasbrook Heights wants to have an interlocal agreement with us for their range with no cost to either borough. And there's an interlocal for the fire department has a face mask calibration machine that is shared by, I think, 4 towns, and we just need to memorialize an interlocal on that as well. And we will have to see whether or not we want to participate in the Bergen County flu vaccination program again. I presume we do, and I will have a resolution for the next meeting.
There's copies of last year's resolution. There has been no increase in the...
No increase in the cost of the flu dosage?
Right.
All right. We'll circulate that, obviously, before the next meeting. And that is all I have. We can open the meeting to the public at this point. Anybody from the public wish to speak? All right. Close the meeting to the public. Look, Chuck, you got it. Sorry? Chuck? I'm sorry. Okay.
Good evening.
Just state your name and address, please.
My name is Irene Pincus. I live at 660 Lincoln Avenue. I was born and raised in Maywood. I returned about 10 years ago to my family home, and I still reside there. Our town of Maywood is small town USA, everybody knows everybody. Many citizens in our community are involved in the activities through their churches, through their schools, and through their children's sports. I myself was the first woman on the Maywood First Aid Squad. I was welcomed with open arms and served proudly. This is a town where everyone loves their neighbor. Well, Mr. Fleischman, Mr. Eisenberg, and Ms. Maroney, I don't love you. I don't even like you. Ironically, this week in the school in the towns of Maywood, the children are celebrating a week of respect. How wonderful that is for our children to learn respect. You men should sit on some of their classes. You men are despicable. Are you and your Democratic supporters responsible for this piece of trash? How old are you? Are you kindergartners or are you adults? This is such childish behavior. Reprehensible tactics like this are for losers. Are you insecure with what you stand for and what you believe in that you stoop this low to get support from the voters of Maywood? Why not campaign on facts instead of smearing your opponents? And that little smirk on your face should just come right off because you're just a horrible human being. This is a shameful act.
Well, hold on, Mr. Eisenberg. Hold on, Mr.
It's my turn to speak, not yours, and I would appreciate you to be quiet. Okay?
And don't address me personally, address...
Ms. Fink
No,
is...
I addressed you personally because you spoke to me.
And I responded to you personally.
It was a shameful act. You should be apologizing to the Republicans, to the people of this town, and specifically to Mr. Fevre and to his family and his children. You should not be sitting up here governing the town of Maywood. The voting people of this town will see through you, especially you, Mr. Fleischman, since you're up for re-election, and they'll vote you out of office. The true community spirit, again, the smirk, will and needs to be returned to the wonderful borough of Maywood where I live and I love to be, but I don't love the people who are governing this town. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Anybody else from the public? Close to the public. All right, can we just control ourselves? Chuck. Now you're up.
Thank you, man.
Top guy, Chuck.
We've done the best practices worksheet over the past few years, and it's always been the chief financial officer's obligation to answer the question and submit them to
Can't hear you.
to the Department of Community Affairs.
Can't hear you.
Hello?
Try the mic. Can you grab the mic?
I'll start again. Is that better? The best practices worksheet has been in existence for a few years. It's always been the chief financial officer's obligation to answer the questions and submit them to the Department of Community Affairs. One of the things that the Department of Community Affairs has changed this year is that each chief financial officer has to present, in summary, the worksheet to the mayor and council for discussion. So that's why I'm here tonight, because it's a new requirement. The best practices worksheet covers several areas of government, mostly financial, general management, financial standards of procurement, budget, I don't want to leave any out. Health insurance, personnel, and disaster preparedness. These questions change every year. There's not a set of standard questions, and the state has taken upon itself to ask questions that are above what the statutory requirements are. The use of the worksheet is to determine whether or not you get 100% of your state aid. I will tell you already that we will be getting 100% of our state aid. We haven't answered any questions. But there are some questions that I'd like to bring to your attention because we have to answer them no. But the way the state asks the question, they're asking for us to do more than what we are statutorily required to do. So if you look at question 5, it talks about municipalities and their agencies are allowed to prohibit the award of public contracts to business entities who have made certain campaign contributions exceeding $300. Well, the statute allows you to do that. The question is, are you doing more than the statute? Obviously, you don't have to do more than the statute, but so we have to answer that question. Question 43 and 44 are likewise in that category. They relate to state workers' compensation and temporary disability benefits. A few years ago, the state changed the statute with regard to state workers and workers' compensation. They said that they could not get 100% of salary when they were on workers' compensation, that they would only get 70% of their wages on a weekly basis. It did not affect municipal or county employees. We have contractual items that affect the way we handle those things. Again, they're asking us, are we following the state statute for state workers? We are not required to, so we are answering that question, no. Same with regard to temporary disability. So those are the 3 questions that we answered no. Of the 50 questions that were there, we had 47 yeses and 3 noes. As I said, the areas that they relate to, I know you've had an opportunity to take a look at it. If anybody would like me to address any of the particular questions, I'm happy to do that. Needless to say that you are in compliance with the best practices that the state suggests to us.
Mayor, if I may? Sure. So, Chuck, this is my second time through this, and I think this is a wonderful way for us to keep track of the things that we're doing and how we're doing. And I realize, much to your point about how some of these answers are no and would still qualify as a good practice, if not the best practice. Are there questions where we answered yes, where you think the borough could be doing better?
I think what the state is doing here is they're forcing us to be a little bit more structured. There are some questions in here with regard to internal controls and accounting policy. And you may remember that when we do the reorganization meeting, we usually have a cash management program. This year, when you do the reorganization, besides the cash management program, you're going to have, so that we're doing best practices, an accounting policy piece, a surplus policy piece, an escrow policy piece. So they're asking us to expand it. Now, I will tell you that we've always had those policies.
Right.
It was just never required that you approve them. So we're moving forward, and I think that's the intent of what the state's trying. They're trying to get everybody to be a little more structured so that it's much more clear to the public.
Anybody else have questions? Chuck? All right. No? Okay. This will be sent down to the state?
Thank you. We will take care of filing it tomorrow.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next item, resignations. We have no resignations. Appointments. We have 2 appointments. Stephen Gilday is probationary member of the Protection Hook and Ladder, and Hario Barilla as probationary member of Peerless Engine Company, effective October 8, 2013. Do I have a motion on the appointments? Move the appointments. Roll call.
Maroney?
Yes.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Severett?
Yes. We have council approval for the following. The Borough Clerk sent this around yesterday. For Memorial School PTO, request to close Fairmount Avenue from Palmer to Grant Avenue from 5:45 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. on October 25, 2013 for a Trunk or Treat Halloween event at Memorial School. Do we have a motion for approval? Move for approval. Second. Roll call.
Maroney?
Yes.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Severett?
Yes. Resolutions by title.
Resolution 13413, award of contract for East Hunter Avenue and JJOT funded and Spring Valley Road projects. Resolution 13513, resolution authorizing the redemption of a tax sale certificate for Block 71, Lot 16.
13413 does include the alternate bid Fairmount Avenue parking lot, although it is not in the title, because I believe that's the way it was bid.
Correct.
Just
so everybody knows.
It's in the actual body of the resolution, not in the title.
Anybody prepared to make a motion?
Move the adoption.
Second?
Roll call. Barone?
Yes.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Surratt?
Yes.
We have no ordinances to introduce, new business, old business, miscellaneous business. I believe we have one item on closed session, is that correct? Yes. Anybody else have anything to close? Personnel item? It is.
Mr. Mayor, I might have one actually, a personnel item.
Personnel item? Make a motion to go into closed session?
Second.
Roll call?
Barone?
Yes.
Eisenberg?
Yes.
Ballerini?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Surratt?
Yes.
Be resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act, the Mayor and Council meet in closed sessions to discuss the following subject matter, subsection 8, personnel. Be resolved that it's precisely determined at this time the discussion conducted in said closed session can be disclosed to the public and upon taking final action thereon, provided disclosure should not violate the attorney-client privilege and constitute an undue invasion of privacy. Be further resolved, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood do not envision they will return to open session but reserve the right to do so.
Thank you very much. We do not envision coming back from closed session. Thank you.